after gang stalking me into homelessness, fighting homelessness for many years before like actually going into a shelter, fighting just to have a roof over my head, my own bed. It would have been nice, just to be left alone in my first or second or whatever apartment that, they kept gang stalking me in to covertly create these scenes in my life, but then just to be psychologically messing with me, hacking me, hijacking my phone. I'm actually learning in the shelter, like, who my kidnapper actually was. That was kind of scary to me because my phone's all cracked up, and at the same time, I'm being hacked, and I'm like sitting there, like, in a reality that I knew was like covert warfare over my life. And I'm being like hacked, and I'm learning the guy that tried to kidnap me 3 times is being arrested, and Jacob Wetterling's murdered. Oh God. Thanks so much, world. Thank you so much. I wish that I could have just spoken with Jacob Wetterling, for crying out loud. God. Can't even get through a freaking message. But okay. So it's not just like regular crank calls, then it's just spam all over the fucking place. And then you're just like legitimately trying to get out of the situation. You go to do some raking for somebody for some dollars to pay for the already crime spree that's over your life with like being set up. Like it was definitely set up, like one ticket after another, to like try and make me like completely responsible for a $5 increase of my child support. That was like I submitted the paperwork and everything. It just didn't go to the lady's desk for some reason. Really weird stuff, but I was totally railroaded there. And so I'm sitting there going to work to pay for the energy that they've stolen from me for not doing their, due diligence and their, you know, their side of things. And then there's no accountability whatsoever. Like the system just can't do any wrong whatsoever. So they're not taking any fault in the blame. So I'm not only like working for the energy of finances to pay for the energy that's been stolen from me, but it's in the exact tune, or yeah, it's in the exact dollar amount from like the last job that owes me for time and work hours. Trying to contact the Department of Labor and Industries was just a gamed up situation, as well as a bunch of others. So I'm just sitting here like, okay, I'm just a regular targeted individual, like sitting here in the shelter, learning that this fuckbag just is the actual name, Danny Heinrich, of the guy that was like trying to kidnap me a bunch of times after my dad was stalking me, and like totally just gets away with all these crimes, and yet he can go and stand next to my own niece because my brother is like on the side of him for some reason. Like, okay, let's just hide behind my dad's balls. Like, tuck under one and tuck under the other one. Like, you know, it's just super fucking weird, man. But I'm sitting there being psychologically tormented, broken down emotionally, spiritually, ethically, morally poisoned, and then constantly poisoned. And then proxy made relationships to continue poisoning me, proxy made romantic relationships to continue poisoning me. Then, like, my son reaches out to me finally when I'm here, and he was, if you ask me, I mean, all hands on deck here. But if you ask me, he was set up in the exact reverse order that my own best friend was set up to be completely killed. So I think the whole goal was to get him killed. And it's really fucking sad state of affairs because Not only will they target you in these ways, they'll be targeting you emotionally all over your life. And there's just like nowhere that you really have to go about it. They're just ignoring the actual extremities of the crime. But so after like getting out of homelessness, I'm like going to live with an actual guy that's like another person that's like looking right into my supposed friend's eyes, the proxy friend, the proxy roommate, while he's sitting there poisoning me. You're putting stuff in my fucking drink. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I really wanted to fucking smack him. And other times, I really wanted to smack him. And, like, hard, G. Like, open hand to the fucking head, dude. Like, fucking down to the ground. Like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you, Jesse Lee. Fuck you, Jesse Lee. You're such a fucking cage ass piece of shit, bitch, murderer, motherfucker. But, you know, I'm just sitting here on the other side of it. Like, you do that and you'll go down for those crimes that are being done to you because it's so covertly and you need, you know, you need like body camera, eyes camera, you know, maybe a camera on your forehead or like on your tongue where you can be like, I'm watching you now. You know, so like you're fucking fighting every last little thing but loose, and you don't know how to fucking get out of it because it's just this whole covert warfare. So sorry if it seems like I'm ignoring you. I'm getting nothing but spam calls and bill collectors that just don't understand the last 2 years of my life, let alone the last 22 years of my life, let alone the last 44 years of my life, to be able to suggest like, oh, there's not a crime here. Like, maybe these bill collectors should call all of these covert operators and be like, are you going to pay this man the $999 trillion that you owe him? Or what do you think is actually reasonable here? I mean, I don't want to put a price tag on my life. So if I did, I would be like $999 trillion times 10. Like, I want my money back. I want my life back. And you can't give me 44 years back either. So how much is all of that time and resistance in my life worth? You know, so I guess I'm just being freshly ground up by a whole syndicate here and no one gives a flying fuck. But so these fuck bags are just completely fuck bags. So I'm sorry if it seems like I'm ignoring you, bill collectors or anybody else, because I'm not. I'm not intentionally ignoring serious things. I'm just being ignored all the way across the board when it comes to do with the very heavy crime, probably the heaviest of its type of targeting that anyone has ever seen online. So it's really kind of weird that it's happening to me, but I don't have any other options because, you know, you start to ignore things because it's like, I'm not gonna like, what am I gonna do? Like, answer the call every fucking 15 minutes and be like, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you about that funding that you would have gotten a long time ago had I not been so poisoned and lost and out of place and unable to perform regular daily activities, let alone the contents of my job being like, you know, setting up the easiest shit and hitting a button, you know. Like, oh, fucking, you know, I don't know. It's just really hard to fucking explain to people because, like, you really have to, like, concentrate, you know, 86 times harder for being 86th this way and very covert warfare, but people just don't understand that. So they're all like, money, 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 money. It's the only thing that matters is money. Love doesn't matter. What are you talking about love for? Well, and so, see, it's to make you completely obsolete to not only yourself, but obsolete to your own ability to yourself so that you can be obsolete to the availability that you otherwise would have to to collectors, to people, and to even family members who do call you, or anybody else that calls you to get a hold of you. But usually people don't see the other side of it, is what I'm saying. They don't see the nonstop harassment. They don't see the nonstop targeting of you. They don't see the nonstop poisoning of you, not to mention other things that these people will do, to get your phone just working in a fashion where it's pretty much obsolete to its normal functions of why you pay for a phone in the first place. But, people will just ignore that too. So people don't understand it and even will side with the psychologists and things like that to claim that you're just paranoid. You're just a paranoid, delusional person. And that's just so not true. It's legitimately like premeditated murder times premeditated identity theft times premeditated. Like, I didn't go on Credit Karma for those few years, and I'm sure it went back well more years than what I'm being shown on these papers. But I even submit those proofs, and I don't know if it goes anywhere. But either way, it's not easy when you're a targeted individual on these levels, because these calls just aren't the same as otherwise would be when you have a regular life. So I understand that it's unbelievable to most. It's just uncanny of a criminal syndicate type of behavior that's working over your life as though it's just a world gone mad. But I'm sure people get their fair share of spam calls. It's true. That's true. Spam is everywhere. That's true. But the way that it happens when you're targeted of these levels is like, just throw Matthew to be trying to be Matthew in the fucking trash, because there's no way of getting Matthew back to doing Matthew the way Matthew would otherwise do Matthew. The mathematics just won't add up. I don't even think $999 trillion would make a difference, but that's just because there's been so much time that I was poisoned and lost of my own reason to be able to see things, to reason itself, or reason to reason itself, or however you would want to say that. I don't know exactly how to use the English language still to purport for or to report these type of crimes. But I'm sure there's a fair share of that going on to regular people. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but what I'm saying is that it's a lot worse than what people could imagine it being. Nevertheless, it's all meant to distract you from the bigger picture, and that is that there are some perpetrators using these tactics to fully poison your life in a way that you cannot fight for your own life. There are campaigns that are meant to psychologically break you. They slander you. They want to take away your availability of outsourcing or having your own internet, your own social media presence, your own presence in general, because that's what character assassination does, so that you can't have a regular life with your own communicable devices on any kind of stretch of the imagination of why you pay for a phone, why you purchase the internet, or even why you try and rent an apartment or buy a house or a car or try to work or to try and have a love life. You just don't have anything of normalcy because it's all made by proxy. What I mean by that is that these people legitimately will do things like pay for your relationships to keep poisoning you up in ways that they can't continue to do, to postpone the event of you reaching any kind of organic or normalcy of a life, so that you can't have the availability of getting down on bent knee with a ring and opening it up and saying, "Baby, I love you, will you marry me?" Anything like that of normalcy, they don't want it. They can't have it at all. So it just goes way past, like, moving forward. It goes way past your normal telemarketers and such that call you. I'm just getting at the phone itself and the hacking of you and how they fix your computer, you know, for like themselves basically to steal your journal, hack you, steal your Facebook, steal your Instagram, your Gmail, your actual phone number even. To try and sabotage you, and when and if that doesn't work to derail you enough, they can cause you accidents. They can set things up. They can set up unknown names and faces to poison you up or whatever they gotta try and do. So I'm scared of what's next around the corner because it's like I've almost died and I'm like literally dying in the ER, like feeling like I'm dying. And they're just ignoring me, like it's all in my head, and it's like, dude, this fucking EKG is going off like bloody hell. What the fuck? Gee. Do your fucking job, your tools of your trade. And then you're like, on the physical level, you guys could do something to help me. But they're not trying to help me on any kind of physical level. Unless it's to be monitoring me inside of a mental health unit, which is like the last place I want to go because of being held against my will in a 72-hour hold that turned into many more hours than it ever needed to, and it was an illegal hold, and then every night this old lady was getting raped, and then even these younger girls that came into into the mental health unit would just disappear. You'd never see them again. They'd go try and save the lady, and then they'd be pulled away in a supposed padded room, but who knows what the fuck happened to them. Good God, if the same type of things happen to them that was happening to that old lady, I'm just really scared for what this world rather is and holding, because there's a lot of kids that go missing, and there's a lot of things that are not being found out about. There's a lot of crimes, that are like legitimately just going under the table, like wiped completely clean. Nobody gives a fuck. No free press. No nothing of normalcy out here, so obviously, these same things happen to other targeted individuals. There's a government sanctioned policing, secrecy, that they're doing the same things as well. All to create these psychological attacks that are meant to covertly destroy the targeted individual, the dissidents, and such like that. So, in order to break it down little by little, I guess you have to be smoking some crack or something. That's what they think. Like, in order to actually have the terminology to use for these psychological attacks, to explain to people how covert it really is, and how the warfare really is, and how proxy made everything really is, so that the rapey people can get away with the rapey shit that the rapey people do, well then little by little, I guess you gotta be smoking crack. So, even though I'm not smoking crack, I know what the fuck is going on. And I've never smoked crack. But the fact of the matter is that one perpetrator to the next is just one hate to the other hate, and then your freedoms are gone, your voices are gone, and no one cares about your voices, not your hearts either, not your lives, not your love lives, not your work life, not your home life, not your family life, so on and so forth. So my advice to you is, if you think you're dealing with non-touch torture coming from the state, it's best to take note that it's been sanctioned by the government itself to purport and work in these ways. So you can look at it as if you're going to work, you're paying tax money to a government that's abusing their rights to threaten you and screw up your ability to ever see through their attacks. And if you do, these attacks will just get worse. So you really just don't get any normal life, and especially if you believe in Jesus Christ, they just really want to put you up on that cross right along with Jesus Christ. And it's really kind of a worthless piece of shit type of attitude out here, because Jesus Christ was the only one that could save people of our sins, so that maybe in a heaven we get to actually live some normalcy for once. But out here in this world, the way that it is on earth, whatever. These days, it's just really bad. But thank God for all the persecution, because if you're not thanking God for the persecution, well, the Bible wouldn't be true. So that you're dealing with what you're dealing with kind of suggests that the Bible is accurate as all get out. So know your worth. Know that you're worth something better than what these worthless criminals are suggesting you to be. Don't let them drive you crazy enough to do anything stupid because they want you in reactive states so they can use your reactive state to suggest that you're just crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. So it's literally that these people are trying to drive you into suicide, and these tactics are used all of the time. I literally don't feel like you can blame some people and literally call it suicide. It's homicide through their own flesh, but who knows? Hopefully, I hope God sees it that way too. But I see that these people are being tortured. They're not able to find any justice. They're being denied any investigations or getting any justice at all. So it's just a fancy art of war that becomes to be very spiritual war, covert war made by very covert, malignant narcissists. And they're just all over the fucking place, corrupting your heart and mind to do the things that they need to do in order to target you further, thriving to break people down in such ways to getting them to doing this worldly way in a worldly design with their little Baphomet bridge, and everyone's blood gets spilt underneath the Baphomet bridge, and they're just like pulling everyone away from the sides like, oh, don't look over there, don't look over there, we gotta keep them here, and we gotta censor this and censor that, and you know, so they're just trying to steal away your dreams. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're trying to steal away your love life. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. They're just trying to steal away your work life, your availability to yourself to actually create anything of value for your own self. Nothing to see here. Nothing at all. But anyway, they need you to break. So don't allow them to break you. Stay strong, even if you're like me, drinking your third cup of coffee into the next day, because it's it's just been really hard, you know, holding on to my resolve the way you have to hold on to your resolve sometimes. So most likely you'll be lied about, lied on. You'll be left to be unemployable, even though without all of these crimes you'd be completely fine. You'd be like one of the best workers out there, hands down. But the goal is to leave you without funds, and money is actually owed to you in like many, many, many millions or billions of dollars for the crimes that these Satanists are willing to do. But let's just get paid the big bucks and go and get a Bible strapped to our chest and have the knives going around or whatever they do for their little fucking occultist shit, you know, and then be like, okay, I'll do this and I'll get paid the big bucks. I'm willing to break people down psychologically, mentally, and physically and try to take away their love life and their family life and their work life and every other aspect of their life. Sure. Just pay me the good bucks, the big bucks. Basically, just screw over anybody in any kind of availability to themselves whatsoever, and you probably can get paid good money. But other than that, you are going to be ostracized from the community and family and anyone else that could have been there to help you or believe you. But these people will always target you, not help you. These people are rather having you stalked, and if you want to prove these things or try and catch them on camera and things like that, you might be able to, but you know, when you penetrate real crimes like that, I doubt that any real police work is going to be done. I mean, I've caught things on camera before, and I'm like asking the police to like come up and look at it, and they're like, "Oh, I guess that's kind of out of my superpowers of being a police and working in this secret policing." So sorry, I can't do that. I'm not willing to look. I'm like, can I send it somewhere? Can I give it to you somewhere? Well, you could, but I can't imagine why you wouldn't just go and do the same thing to him that he did to you. Oh, okay, so that I can be on camera. The targeted individual can be on camera, and then an eye for an eye just doesn't somehow make the whole world blind. But okay, I'm sure if these things were happening to your son or daughter, that you'd just tell them the same thing, right? So anyway, it's just these superpowers, I guess, are just really kind of weird, really weird. Like, I don't know, I must have been like 23, 24. I don't know. I lost a whole lot of respect for cops in general that day. like really a lot of respect I just lost. I mean, like I legitimately wanted to be a cop and stuff like that when I was a young lad. So I'm just like, man, this fucking sucks, man. There's just where do you go for moral uprightness and forthcoming law? Has to do with anything natural law. So when they come up against you in these ways, you know what they're doing. You know that they're trying not to be acknowledged for what they're actually doing to people. And it's to target you. You will literally be able to see the satanic person inside of whoever they are, and through their eyes and through their tongue and the way they speak and everything. You'll just be like, oh wow, demons everywhere. Just look at what they do. So you'll be able to look them dead in the eye, and sometimes you can even get them all red faced and whatnot. They don't like it when they're being called out for their actions. They really don't. So know full well that the system powers that be are completely to screw up your ever loving existence because take your character for an example. They assassinate it, they make sure you're unable to perform in any kind of way. Like you're just being treated as you're the scum of the earth and like you're the virus. Even though, even though everyone with like, common sense knows that it's like it's kind of all the opposite way. Like we gave, mankind gave powers to agency, and maybe that agency was really great for a while, but it got overrun by perpetrators and the predators. They're just like, oh well, if I want to be a predator, I gotta be that way. So obviously it's overrun by this predatorial way. And then if you know these things and if you have these things going on, it would just be easier to kill you, intimidate you into silences and subversion, or otherwise get you into places which you just don't really belong in. So, in other words, it's just rendered in a way that ensures the public around you isn't aware of any fact of the matter that you're a victim of any crime, not one of 10, not one of the 86 for being 86 this way on 86 different levels of all 86 floors and every single window of your life being busted out like the Twin Towers. But no one wants to see anything like that happening, no. So the crime is large and the players are key players because their powerful positions are a part of the game. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the rest of this because I really want to personally hope that there are good people out there that are willing to fight for the good of humanity still because of what's happened to me. So I don't want to go into the rest of what I have written here. It's just if there are framers that want to get away with these crimes, they're going to go into these situations of playing to the both sides, you see? So it's like love bombing you with like your educational system that suggests you have a free press and you have this. If something like this happens, then you can go to the police, and if you're not being paid correctly, you can go to the Department of Labor and Industries, and if you have this or that, there's different avenues that you're supposed to be able to take in normal life. But these self-serving fat cats know how to live on both sides of the fence or on two sides of the same coin, per se, so that they can play it off as though, they're great men. But they're really just framing the crime in so that nothing's to see here. Nobody speaks out. When you do, you get censored, just railroaded. And sometimes, like in the situation like I've been in, you just really don't have any choice left. So you start to speak out about it. Things get bad. Things get worse. But it's like, what other opportunity did I have? They're like legitimately stealing away my money, my time and energy. I'm in like, what would this be of my own place? My third place in my whole entire life. And it's just the same thing, but way worse because I'm older. So I don't know what to do. I wish that I could sue my dad and all these people for $999 trillion and like 99 cents. And like maybe on top of it, they could buy me a couple cups of coffee. I don't know. They owe me a whole lot more than they could owe me for what the crimes are that I'm actually coming out here suggesting that they're performed or that they have already performed through many years of my life. Like flipping someone into a tailspin on poisons from such a young age, like 0 through 5, made it easier for 5 through 15 to keep me poisoned, not knowing what was going on in a covert warfare because you're young and brought up stupid. So you're like brought up stupid from a stupid system being stupid. And then on top of it, your own people are being stupid in the stupid games that are all stupid, demonic fucking bullshit. And then on top of it, you like from there, it's just a bunch of podunky smile in your face. We're gonna play on two sides of the coin and try and blacklist you and have affairs around you and psychologically fuck you up and push you around basically, and you're just easier to push around that you've been basically poisoned up till you were 22, 24, 28, 34 through homelessness. And then finally, when you're actually able to discover these patterns for where they are and where they're coming from, now the matters get really hard because you're like, no, I don't like you no more, and I don't like you, or you. And then they're all after you. You see, they're all gonna be like, I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. And my own brother's like, I'm gonna fast track you into jail, and I'm gonna just like you already did a lot of damage in my life, G. So I guess go use that hydrating gel and get doing one of these things to your whole fucking game. Fucking whack off. Fucking nut job. Anyway, so that's all I have to say. Is just I'm gonna leave the some of this stuff out because please will you help me? Police, will you help me? Fuck off. This whole world sucks.